by Congresswoman Kimbo, sometimes the validity of appropriations can go on for 2 years, and that is why exactly we can really look into that. And third, I think most important in relation to the issue of the confidential funds is a question of the yung sa COA po, yung itong notice of disallowance and audit report which we have received by virtue of subpoena duces tecum. 2024 po yung date nito. So I think it would have been impossible for us to tackle these matters in the previous deliberations. And I think rather than, although the proposal is noted that we have different committees to hear these kinds of things, given the nature that it is not yet final, I think the hearing before the budget would be most appropriate to consider the same. So with that said, Madam Chair, I would like to proceed with my questioning. And I would be addressing this question to the Honorable Vice President. Madam Chair, maybe ask through you, is the Honorable Vice President aware of the audit observation memorandums covering 3 different disbursements of confidential funds?
Madam Vice President.
On the issue of confidential funds, we have received audit actions regarding the confidential funds of the OVP. We have submitted our responses, and we assure the public of our full cooperation with the ongoing and unfinished audit.
Madam Chair, is the Honorable Vice President aware that for the first audit observation memorandum regarding the 2 disbursements of confidential fund, there were 2 issues raised by the COA?
Madam Vice President.
Madam Chair, on the issue of confidential funds, we have received audit actions from the COA regarding the confidential funds of the OVP. We have submitted our responses, and we assure the public our full cooperation with the ongoing and unfinished audit.
Thank you for the response, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, is the Honorable Vice President aware that one issue raised by the COA was the lack of documentary evidence presented?
Madam Vice President.
Madam Chair, on the issue of confidential funds, we have received audit actions from the COA regarding the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President. We have submitted our responses, and we assure the public of our full cooperation with the ongoing audit.
Madam Chair, thank you for the response. Would the Honorable Vice President be aware that another issue raised by the audit observation memorandum was the misappropriation categories? Because, Madam Chair, in the audit observation memorandum, there was a distinguishment that the use of confidential funds shall be limited to certain categories of expenses, and that verily the point of the AOM was that there were findings that some of the categories included in the AOM were not subject or scope of confidential funds.
Madam Vice President.
On the issue of confidential funds, we have received audit actions from COA regarding confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President. We have submitted our responses, and we assure our full cooperation with the ongoing and unfinished audit.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd move on to the next question. Regarding these AOMs, it seems to be that for COA, based on experience, masyadong matagal na po ito. May we ask, Madam Chair, if there is any delays of sorts on the part of the Office of the Vice President in terms of responding to these AOMs and notice of disallowance?
Madam Vice President.
Madam Chair, I think that question is best asked to the Commission on Audit. Why will you ask me that? Sinabi na nga niya, itatanong sa Commission on Audit eh.
Madam Chair, most respectfully, there was a response on the part of the Office of the Vice President, and I would just assume that the Vice President is aware of the timing of their response to any audit actions that she has repeatedly mentioned, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, that is a question for the Commission on Audit, not for the Office of the Vice President.
Madam Chair, well, I will rephrase and indulge the good Honorable Vice President. May I ask, Madam Chair, the COA, regarding the proceedings po nung kanilang audit observation memorandum. May we know, Madam Chair, through the member of COA, the date on which the AOM was submitted and the date of which the response was made?
Ask Comoliano.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I don't have the documents, and I am not privy to the audit of the Intelligence and Confidential Fund because it is within the Intelligence and Confidential Fund Audit Unit.
Madam Chair, most respectfully, may we know the position of our member from COA here?